Leading up to your 40th birthday, which is
Mm-hmm.
also where the book starts,
Mm-hmm.
I I read the first pages of the prologue and I couldn't quite believe what I was reading,
Mm-hmm.
because the place you're at in your life, this chronic state of discontent that you describe, I I remember when I got to the chapter 17 in the book, which is No Soccer Mum Here, that was the first time I had to stop reading because it was a lot for me to take.
Mm-hmm.
Hearing that that's what was going on in your head and your mind, that's the way you viewed life. You didn't see any path forward for you. You're 39 years old. Apparently, on the surface, it seems like you've got everything that anyone would dream of having. But internally, there's this chronic state of discontent.
Yeah.
I often say to people, if I was a fly on the wall, but if I was a fly inside the walls,
Yeah.
what was going through your mind? 39 years old, about to turn 40.
Oh, I was in a very, very dark place. Very dark place.
Just, I remember the line I read where you said, if I got to 4 p.m. every day.
I was like, I made it. I made it. And even that was like so hard. I mean, I was talking to my mother this morning because she just read the book, and she said, I can't believe you didn't talk about how you woke up every day crying.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, Ma, I think it was enough to tell people that I was looking for a cliff to drive off of, And what she brought up was like, she knew I was unhappy, but she didn't know why. So it wasn't that people around me didn't know that I was really unhappy. It's just that everybody believed what I believed, which is why it was so hard for me to talk about, which is like, you've got everything. What are you unhappy about? Right? And so that's how I was feeling. You've got everything. What are you unhappy about? And that was just, I had so much shame around that because I didn't understand. And even then, there wasn't a lot of conversation around mental health. And so I was just like, fuck it. I can't keep doing this. I want out. And it was just a really, really dark time.
When you say you were looking for a cliff to drive off of, you're not saying that theoretically or as a metaphor.
No, I'm saying I was looking to the point where I was like, Big Sur, I knew exactly the route to drive. And it's this really narrow route. And sometimes it gets really foggy there at night. And I'm not making it out of that drop. I remember driving that one time going to Big Sur because I was looking like here, like on Mulholland. I was like, these drops aren't gonna, like, I need a drop that I'm not making it back. I don't want to be disfigured. I want out. And I knew I had to make it look like an accident because I did not want my kids to think that I had committed suicide. No, I was in a lot of pain. I was in a really, really dark place. And when you're in that place, you just can't see your way out. And you really think, I really thought something was really wrong with me because what I was feeling wasn't matching the exterior of my life. So I really did feel like I was just born broken. And I was just wired in a way that just...
What was the truth? If that's how you felt, what was, in hindsight now, what do you know to be the truth of that emotion and that state of your life, 39, 40 years old? What was actually going on?
That I really feel like that sometimes when we get into these states of wanting to die, you know, for those of us who have had like suicidal thoughts and what have you, sometimes it is chemical. That's a different thing. I think mine was more psychological. Something is asking to die, but not you. And it's a different way of looking at things, right? And so, and it is an extreme shift in which I had to get out of my cycle of self-hatred. I was in a cycle of self-hatred that I didn't even know, because we're unconscious of it. So the mind is tricking us. You know what I mean? We got to be careful with this. This isn't as reliable as we think, you know? And so, but I was in a cycle of self-hatred. And it wasn't until, thank God for my son, that I was, you know, he introduced me, his friend's father did ayahuasca, and they happened to be talking about it, and they talked to me about it. Jaden came in the kitchen. He was like, you got to sit down with Moises and Mateo. You got to hear about this experience, Ma, that their dad had.
Was Jaden saying that intentionally? Did he know that you needed that?
No, he wasn't saying that.
He was just curious.
He knows I'm curious. He knows I'm a seeker.
Right.
Right? That was divine. And so I went and talked to them, and I was like, hey, is your dad in town? And then their dad came, and I talked to him, and I was like, I need that. And then the universe opened up a door for me to have my own ceremony. 4 days of like intense ceremony. But that's when I got to see that cycle of self-hatred. I was like, this is you. These are your thoughts. This is how you feel about yourself. This is the problem. And so the medicine really showed me this pit of self-hatred I was in. And it helped me get out of it.
Chapter 20 of the book, you titled Surrender.
Yeah.
Surrender is an interesting word. Why is surrender so important in your journey?
You have to surrender everything you think you are and everything you think you know.
I've spoken to a lot of people that have done Alcoholics Anonymous, and they talk about the importance of surrender.
Yeah. It's like surrendering, you know, for me, also surrendering to a higher power. And that's a constant. That's every day. I have to remind myself and deepen my surrender to a power far greater than myself.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favor. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.